Campus police officers already take responsibility for public safety on campus. During the pandemic, they have also had to take responsibility for the community's public health. Some of their new duties include making sure that students are wearing masks on campus and practicing social distancing. Mitchell Osland, MSUM's patrol operations lieutenant, has tried to take a gentle approach in enforcing campus and state guidelines.
No, we didn't want to become the mask police, and the students and staff have done a great job with the mask throughout the 10 months.
While Lieutenant Osland hasn't had to deal with serious compliance issues here on campus, the pandemic has been frustrating for him and his colleagues in other ways, particularly when it comes to communicating with students on a personal level.
The interaction we're having with students is less. It's more difficult with the mask. They can't see us smiling, can't see them smiling, so just the friendly, approachable type of persona we want to project to people is more difficult.
Campus police officers are missing the personal engagement with students that have been made more challenging amidst the pandemic, but Lieutenant Osland tries to find the silver lining in this difficult time.
I think it's made me appreciate just the social interactions with our staff, with the campus community. Those things that, it's just the friendliness.
Hopefully one day soon, campus police officers can see students smile again. With photographer Eric George, Mike McGurran, Campus News. It's a busy day in the boiler room in downtown Fargo as employees hastily rearrange tables and chairs, as they have done many times this year. And Governor Burgum's recent lowering of the state's COVID risk level allows bars and restaurants to now serve up to 80% of their normal capacity. While the move is intended to make things easier for local businesses, the boiler room's general manager, Jenny Olson, can't help but have mixed feelings about it.
Even though he says, yeah, you can be at 80%, we're still not going to be at 80%, just because we want to make sure everything is appropriately spaced out.
While Jenny and her staff try to make the best of their situation, the decline in college-aged patrons has been noticeable.
Personally, we've definitely felt a hit of the college students not coming out. We actually catered our hours to college crowd before. We'd be open until midnight or 2 a.m. even. But now, since we don't have that crowd, we're actually closing at 10 p.m.
Whether it's ensuring customers and staff are wearing masks or simply keeping the tables spaced apart, businesses like the boiler room face many problems. Servers like Tori Pierce sometimes struggle with the constant changes.
I think the most challenging part is just not being able to do our jobs like we were used to.
Despite all of this, Jenny says the staff has gotten better at adapting over time. While business at the boiler room can be very unpredictable lately, she is grateful for the customers that continue to come out.
To the people that come out and are kind, thank you.
Many restaurants in Fargo-Moorhead were hoping that the pandemic would be over by now and that they could return to business as usual. For now, it looks like it will be another slow winter, with challenges still to come. With photographer Eric George, Mike McGurran, Campus News. Although the auto and dental labs are bustling with activity, most students take their courses from home, leaving the halls of M-State mostly empty. However, administrators and professors are hard at work on a new program that seeks to remove textbooks and their costs from the college experience. These textbook-free programs are called Z degrees, and Dr. John Maduco, M-State's Vice President of Academic and Student Affairs, thinks that they could be a game changer for reducing the overall costs that come with attending college.
So we recognize that access to an institution is not simply walking through the doors. It's the ability to afford your education, afford the text, the resources, and other supplemental materials needed to succeed in the class.
While the program will be available to anyone enrolled at M-State, Dr. Maduco points out that it will likely be most appealing to non-traditional college students.
We have a sizable percentage of our student body that falls into that category, adult learners or non-traditional learners. They're working parents, they're working adults, they have careers, they have life responsibilities, right? So every penny counts.
Marcus Locker, an M-State business instructor who submitted the grant for the Z degree program, notes that using available resources in the public domain in lieu of textbooks has already saved students a lot of money.
In 2017, it was $750,000 that we saved students across the state. This is just the 2-year students, and last year was 1.25 million. I'm sure it's going to be closer to 2 million this year.
While both Dr. Meduco and Mr. Locker note that the program will face challenges on its path to implementation, they hope that in the end, it will make college more accessible and more affordable for everybody. With photographer Eric George, Mike McGurran, Campus News. The Women's Center here at MSUM is filled with signs, posters, and art that celebrate the importance of diversity here on campus. However, the role of diversity training in colleges around the country has been put in the spotlight in recent months. President Trump signed an executive order last fall that threatened to deny recipients of federal money from conducting diversity training that promoted divisive concepts. Jared Pigeon, MSUM's Director of Diversity and Inclusion, questions the aim of the order.
I started to think about how is this in alignment with preparing youth to be global citizens?
Ultimately, MSUM's policies won't change, as President Biden has recently rescinded the order and replaced it with one of his own. Jared sees the political turmoil as a chance to reflect on our current situation.
How do we use the education we get here at MSUM in the community, the what we've learned? How do we use our positions as we move forward to make it a more just society?
Jean Renslow, a student at MSUM and the president of the Campus Feminists organization, is relieved that the order no longer applies and that diversity training on campus can continue as before. Nevertheless, she thinks the ongoing debate over the role of these programs is just starting.
It's definitely not the end of things. It's definitely not where we need to stop. It's a beginning, not an ending point.
No one can predict what the role of diversity training will be for college campuses in the future. But for now, the Office of Diversity and Inclusion and student organizations like the Campus Feminists will press on with their work. With photographer Eric George, Mike McGurran, Campus News.
This is something that can sometimes be uncomfortable to talk about, but we have to start the conversation.
When she's not working or attending classes via Zoom, Bailey Enquist spends most of her time at home, playing with her cat, Muffin. Bailey also has done work for nonprofits like Imagine Thriving, conducting webinars to spread awareness of the anxiety and depression felt by many young people. For Bailey, being open about her personal struggles with anxiety wasn't always easy.
But at first it was exhausting. It's really hard to bring that stuff up and learn how to deal with that and talk openly about it.
Bailey says her issues with anxiety started when she was in the 7th grade and have been an ongoing struggle for her ever since.
One way that I work to break down the stigma is by sharing my own story with my own struggles.
Through her videos, Bailey often tackles certain misconceptions about mental health. When a person takes their own life, we describe the act as committing suicide. She disagrees with the implication of this turn of phrase.
You commit a crime. You don't commit to depression, which then kills you. Just like people don't commit to cancer.
Bailey says young people need to be proactive about addressing their mental health problems, and she plans to continue to use her personal experiences to help in any way that she can. With photographer Eric George, Mike McGurran, Campus News. Scattered groups of students can still be found in the Comstock Memorial Union on campus, although the building is much quieter than it has been in previous years. Many students are doing their coursework online and aren't present on campus at all. MSUM freshman Kyla LaPlante is honest about her issues with virtual learning.
I feel a lot less organized, and it's just easier to stay on track when I get to meet the teacher in person.
MSUM is aiming for 70% of its courses to take place in person for the upcoming fall semester. For now, it appears as if the social distancing protocols will end, but the mask mandate will continue. As a biology, medicine, and public health major, student Juan Al-Salim has some concerns about the university's plans.
As a student, I feel like I'd be excited, but as a person working in the healthcare profession, kind of scares me.
Despite Al-Salim's issues, she recognizes the difficult position that the university is in. She is keenly aware of concerns that students have over paying high tuition rates for what many believe to be an inferior education.
I've had multiple of my friends question why they're still paying, in-person tuition when we're doing online classes.
The new guidelines could appeal to upcoming freshmen who are skeptical about online classes. Sophomore Carl Schultz sees this as a possibility based on conversations he's had with prospective students.
Been talking to some old friends from that are still in high school that were just graduating this year, and a lot of them just decided not to come to college this year, take a gap year, or maybe even just find other options.
While MSUM students are eager to attend more classes in person, uncertainty over the future of universities navigating a post-COVID world remain widespread. With photographer Eric George, Mike McGurran, Campus News. While the pandemic has paused many aspects of campus life here at MSUM, one issue that never stops is student accumulation of debt. Junior Tyler Persons thinks that in the age of COVID, the cost of tuition seems even more out of control.
For what students are paying for, I don't think the numbers add up.
According to the Federal Reserve, the United States has accumulated $1.57 trillion of student debt, and 54% of college students at campuses like MSUM can expect to leave with debt of some kind. If it wasn't for Tyler's previous academic achievements, he says he'd really be in trouble.
If I didn't have the scholarships I did, I would leave college with $60,000 in debt, and that would be a huge burden.
Maddie Sturma, a University of Minnesota student who is taking her classes online, is particularly blunt about her feelings.
It's ridiculous how much it costs.
She worries greatly about the debt she's taken.
Yeah, it's a big weight on my shoulders for sure.
Democratic politicians in Washington, D.C. have been lobbying President Biden to cancel student debt via executive order.
We are not going to let up until we accomplish it, until $50,000 of debt is forgiven for every student in the country.
While students like Tyler support the idea in theory, he worries the order wouldn't solve the problem.
We should probably have some sort of procedure in place to make it so that future students won't either take out the loans to get in a ton of debt or that college gets cheaper.
Both Tyler and Maddie hope to see some action taken at the federal level soon. For now, all they can do is continue their education, loans included. With photographer Eric George, Mike McGurran, Campus News. Frigid temperatures aren't holding the campus community at NDSU back from finally getting a coronavirus vaccine. NDSU held the first of 2 COVID-19 vaccine clinics outside the Sanford Health Athletic Complex on campus, allowing students and faculty to be vaccinated for free. NDSU staff member Connie Forboard says that her desire for the vaccine isn't just about herself.
I also help take care of my parents. They're 78 years old, so I just want to be safe for them too.
Even though NDSU student body president Matthew Friedman believes it's important for people to keep following COVID safety protocols, he feels better knowing that more and more people are getting vaccinated.
What hasn't changed is my behavior, but what has changed is, I think, my attitude.
Nursing student Emily Kunkel, who volunteered at the event, says that the energy inside the facility was electric.
There was excitement. It was very energetic, fast-paced.
According to a recent Gallup poll, 26% of Americans remain unwilling to receive the vaccine. Emily suspects that could change as more and more people opt in.
Most people that I personally know that were skeptics of the vaccine, they're seeing other people getting vaccinated. They see that it's okay and more socially accepted. So now they're being like, okay, well, maybe I'll jump on the bus.
For this one day at least, spirits seemed high. While some members of the NDSU community still urge caution in the present, many are allowing themselves to feel hopeful of the future for the first time in a long time. With photographer Eric George, Mike McGurran, Campus News.